Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell believes there is renewed sense of hope as Grenada and other member countries observe United Nations Day. This story and more in the National Report.
Have you noticed an increase or decrease in your electricity bill? You know that changes in the fuel and non-fuel rates affect your bill. You should also be aware that changes in household activities affect your bill. Ask yourself these questions. Have the rates changed? Have there been more people at your home? Have your children been on holiday? Have you used your fan or air conditioning unit more often to beat the heat? Are any of your electrical appliances or equipment faulty? Have you added any new appliances such as transformers, water heaters, or pumps? Make it a habit to understand any changes on your electricity bill. For more factors that affect your bill, visit www.grenlec.com. Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
With the details to the news for Monday, 24th October 2022, I am Abigail McIntyre. That was Prime Minister Honorable Dickon Mitchell hoisting the Grenadian flag in observance of United Nations Day today, Monday 24th, 2022. In 1945, 77 years ago, 51 nations came together committing to maintaining international peace and security, upholding human rights, and promoting international cooperation, forming the United Nations. Grenada became a member in 1974. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell says that this year's observance gives a renewed sense of hope in the values of the United Nations for peace and respect of all of humanity.
As we stand here at the cenotaph of our fallen soldiers of World War I, we are reminded once again of the long-lasting ills of war and reaffirm our commitment to the fundamental principles of human rights, peace, and social progress outlined in the UN Charter. Now, more than ever, we must hold true to those principles. Grenada is proud to be celebrating 48 years of partnership with the United Nations and as a member of the United Nations community, and looks forward to the continued strengthening of this relationship. To this end, my administration welcomes the efforts towards UN reform, which seeks to provide more tailored and efficient support to countries given changing global challenges such as climate change and its effects on lives and livelihoods.
UN resident for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Didier Tribuc, joined the local celebrations virtually. He noted as part of the celebrations, the Parliament building at Mount Welldale will be lit in blue as part of the observance. Mr. Tribuc admitted that global challenges have left many nations uncertain about the security of the future, but assures Grenada that the UN remains committed to doing all it can to support government's plans and programs for development.
And as we join with the governments and the people of the Caribbean to build resilience and share responsibility for the world's to-do list, our collective action must continue to accelerate progress on the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. In a way, it cannot be business as usual in this time of uncertainty. And in his address to last month's UN General Assembly, Secretary General Antonio Guterres told world leaders that our world is in peril and paralyzed, and it cannot go on like this. So you can be assured of the United Nations commitment to work beside you, to support you in addressing critical challenges such as climate change, digital and green transformation, food security.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Roxy Hutchinson, says the UN has always fostered an atmosphere of what the world can achieve collectively once we work together.
We must use these celebrations to reflect on the achievements of the United Nations and in doing so, reflect on the challenges that currently avails with our mindsets towards finding creative solutions. Member states of the United Nations, like Grenada, must move multilaterally to grip the treadles of transformation, securing adequate financing for development, unlocking the full potential of our youth, empowering our women, leveraging technology, and building strong institutions.
Prime Minister Honorable Dickon Mitchell is pleased with the reception given to him by member heads of the OECS after the delivery of his maiden speech and the general discussions that followed during the recently concluded 72nd meeting of the OECS Authority held recently in Montserrat. During an interview with the Government Information Service, PM Mitchell says the discussions surrounded benefits for OECS countries within the region, with areas of focus on the ECCB and the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. The Grenadian leader says the OECS needs to focus its efforts on tackling the issues that are before them if they are to move forward.
Things like our Supreme Court, Central Bank, Eastern Caribbean Civil Aviation Authority. To some extent, I think the population of the OECS take these things for granted because they've been around so long and they work so well. But we can't take them for granted because the strength really is in or combined and unified action. But crucially, it also recognizes that we need to do a lot more to foster OECS integration and to deepen that process and to use our collective strengths to tackle some of the big challenges we face, like air travel. And we actually had a town hall with the citizens of Montserrat on the final day, and air travel was a major issue.
PM Mitchell says there are also common challenges domestically facing member states, which needs to be addressed. He advises that member states should take a regional approach towards common issues if they are to come to some common solution.
The issue of the hemorrhaging of our nurses. All of us are facing the challenges of our nurses leaving en masse. In the case of Grenada, I think we've lost 75 already for the year. There's a possibility of another 25 or so leaving. And the same situation exists in Montserrat. The same situation exists in St. Kitts, St. Vincent, St. Lucia. We're relying on Cuban assistance, for example. So it means it's a common problem. And there's an opportunity then for us to find a common regional solution, or at least mitigation measures to address it. So it reemphasized that the challenges we face are similar, if not the same. And therefore, our ability to solve them will in fact require us to take a regional and not just a domestic or national approach to them. And so I think it was very important for me and the other heads to particularly given that we have relatively, in the case of St. Lucia, in the case of St. Kitts and Nevis, in the case of Grenada, new prime ministers. So obviously we bring, in a sense, a relatively fresh perspective. And in my case, particularly coming from almost straight out of the private sector.
Prime Minister Mitchell says notable of mention coming out of the meeting is the fact that there are now 3 very young prime ministers in the mix to incorporate fresh ideas that will aid in the further strengthening of the authority.
We are relatively young compared to some of the other leaders, both within the OECS and CARICOM. And I think given the youthfulness of our population, I think we serve as examples to the young population that all is not lost. And there's a genuine opportunity for us to reimagine what politics looks like, what engaging with our people look like, and what setting goals and aspirations and going after them look like. So I think from that perspective, I certainly think the people of the OECS expects of us that we will make a reconcerted effort to truly try and address some of the challenges we face as a people, so that we can improve the lives of the citizens of the OECS.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Prepare for hurricane. Prepare for hurricane. Make sure you have your radio and your batteries too. Waterproof flashlight candles will do. Tin stuff, garbage bag, first aid kit. Come on people, make sure you have it. Clean water in a container and a hurricane plan. Hear me no man.
Hurricane damage is beyond your control. Surviving the aftermath is up to you. Have a hurricane plan. It can save your life and your family too.
Prepare for hurricane. Your hair, prepare for hurricane.
Local community-based organizations and cooperatives are benefiting financially from the Grenada Sustainable Development Trust Fund. The GSDTF was established in February 2016 by a committee of representatives from government, non-governmental organizations, civil society, and the private sector, with support from the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund and its donors. In order to benefit from the GSDTF, projects must be focused on marine and terrestrial resources, with emphasis on climate change mitigation, hazard risk reduction, and adaptation, as well as activities related to human development and pollution reduction. Recently, a few local organizations received funding from the GSDTF to promote and continue the work they do in communities throughout the country. They are LVP Trading Inc. with the revitalization of the Mongazo Nature Reserve Project, Boucherjou Eco Development Association Inc. with the Dragon Bay Visitors Management Plan and Capacity Building Project, the Guave Fishermen Cooperatives Society, who is focusing on developing products for alternative markets, and Best Practices Farmers Movement Inc. with the project to improve farmers' livelihoods. Program Officer with the GSDTF, Abigail Oliver, outlined the criteria for persons interested in applying for funding. She was speaking with GIS at a recent public engagement activity put on by her organization in the south of the island.
We have community-based organizations, and these organizations must be operating within 12 months, and they must have a solid team. So if, for example, a project lead administration and also a technical support team. And for persons to be eligible, they have to be I should say, a physical or operating account. And make sure they're operating effectively, and we could able to get the minutes of the meetings and take it from there in monitoring and evaluation.
Ms. Oliver says a call for proposals is currently out and interested persons can apply.
Right now we have a call for consultancy that's for the marine protected area, and from there our second call will be specific to the marine protected area itself. Our first call, it was broad. So it is with both marine protected area and sustainable lives and livelihood.
The Grenada Sustainable Development Trust Fund can be contacted via telephone number 232-0867. Friends of Mondel Avril, a Grenadian neonatal nurse practitioner who was attached to the Texas Children's Hospital in Houston before her passing on July 5, 2019, made a donation of cash and kind in her memory to the pediatric ward at the General Hospital. The presentation party included her sister, Wendy Avril Young, along with Beldine and Vanessa, both neonatal nurses in Houston. Ms. Young made the presentation to Dr. Josanne Brathwaite.
This check of $2,100 US is here for you and your little babies who are going to be coming in, needing help, being born, needing assistance. We hope that this goes a very long way. Beldine and Vanessa is here to ensure that this gets to you safely.
Dr. Josanne Brathwaite expressed gratitude to the Friends of Mondel Mission for gifting them with the supplies that are needed at the pediatric ward.
On behalf of the pediatric ward and our pediatric department here at St. George's General Hospital, and on behalf of all neonates, because this would really go a long way in assisting us, well, helping us to help them. So we thank you all so very much. And we're grateful, in fact, for Mondel and her contribution, because I can tell you, since she's made that gift of the bubble CPAPs in 2014, it has benefited so many children. The contribution is too vast to really put into words. So this would definitely be used probably towards the acquisition of another such machine to help even more children. So on behalf of our department and on behalf of all children here in Grenada, we sincerely thank you. And we thank you, Vanessa and Beldine, for volunteering of your time and making the trek from Texas all the way to Grenada. And we hope you take some of our sunshine back to you, and we look forward for future alliances.
The mission also made a donation to the children at the Queen Elizabeth Home. The 4th annual 12 degrees north, 61 degrees west Grenada Film Festival kicks into high gear this week with its first event on Wednesday, October 26th, with a screening in the community of Union in St. Andrew. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, this is the first in-person festival with a focus on celebrating Grenadian excellence in the creative arts industry. The first event is on Wednesday, where officials from renowned media group justmedia.org will join local organizer Mashida Phillip to showcase one of their films called Malcolm X. Miss Phillip says choosing the village of Union was deliberate, as Malcolm X's mother was from the same area.
We're starting off the festival with a historical tour of the Ladie community. That is a community where Louis Little, Malcolm X's mom, is from originally in Grenada here. And I think, I remember in the summer when having a conversation with Mo and Rico in New York, and I said, let me see your database. And I saw Malcolm X, and I'm like, did you know that? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, I guess that's how we're starting the festival. Then we have 3 days in St. Andrews. The second day, we have all these screenings of movies. And then Friday, yay, is Grenadian night. We are celebrating our Grenadian-esque through the films that we are screening. All the films are by Grenadian or featuring Grenadian stories. So that is huge for us. And we're rolling out the red carpet. So come in your fine dandies and let's just celebrate the filmmakers.
Executive Director of justmedia.org, Mahogany Brown, says her company's work falls in line with the goal and vision of the Grenada Film Festival, where stories about us are told by us.
Just Media is an open access database featuring films of all sorts from all walks of life, but focusing on the narratives around mass incarceration in the criminal legal system. We're interested in a broader narrative, not just do bad things happen, jail time, the end, but what is the ecosystem? What is the full cycle? Who are the lives that are impacted by mass incarceration? Which is everyone. We just don't realize it until we are face to face, maybe with court, or we lose someone in our lives to the system. So we are really excited to support this film festival because it's doing the work by giving creatives a bigger platform to share stories rather than waiting for people to tell us our stories.
Grenada's top decathlon athlete and third world ranking athlete, Lyndon Victor, believes that Grenada should do more in utilizing the successes of its athletes to promote the country internationally. Victor was making recommendations to what should be included in the national policy on sports and physical activity at the St. David's Reconsultation meeting.
My name is Lyndon Victor. I have a few suggestions, questions that, My first suggestion is that where does sports and tourism align in the sports policy? Because I believe that they go hand in hand. A lot of people from India follow Anderson now. A lot of people from different parts of the world follow your athletes. How would we merge sports and tourism into the sector to bring the economy up and to, add value to Grenada?
In response, transition lead in the Ministry of Sports, Patrick Simmons, assured Victor that sports tourism forms a major pillar of the new policy and something this new administration is interested in.
There is a section that deals specifically that with the it referred to the Board of Tourism, but as it stands right now, that will have to change to the Tourism Authority. So there is linkage, and the Tourism Authority is a lead agent in the sports policy in terms of marketing whatsoever happens here, not only with sports, but also with culture, right? So added to that, the National Sports Council, they too play a very pivotal role in archiving and marketing whatever happens with sports internationally, locally, and regionally. So there must be a symbiotic relationship between what is happening outside of Grenada in terms of the performance of the athletes and what the National Council would be able to take and bring back to the outside and how the Board of Tourism interrelates with what is happening to get it outside it. So the relationship is not a complex relationship, but it involves a lot of lead agents to make it a product. Now, in that context, the athlete would be the major image.
The St. David Reconsultation had a representation from track and field, football, cricket and sporting clubs in the parish. Among the attendees were Anderson Peters, Coach Denise Williams and Paul Phillip and Rion Radix. Other questions, concerns, comments and recommendations were on the continued upkeep of playing fields, rewards and awards for athletes and sporting personnel.
I would like to see National Sports Award conducted by the Ministry of Sports and Youth, where we award people across the sector of sport. Not only athletes, not only coaches, but administrators, clubs, best club in the community, best footballing club. Yeah, not just the people who bring us the fame and the glory, but the people who work and facilitate the fame and the glory.
How would an athlete like Alan Francis benefit from the sports policy? Or a coach like Conrad Francis, how would they benefit from the sports policy at this present time or whenever the sports policy comes into play?
Not only when they reach at the national level and they start to win a medal, we see them, because that's how I see it. We only see people when they reach certain organizations, only see people, the talent when they reach at a certain level. What would the policy have in place to make sure we take them from the grassroots, as you say, right up to the national level, where they start winning medals and so on?
The next reconsultation on the national policy on sports and physical activity will be held on Thursday, the 27th of October, 2022, at the Grenada Boys Secondary School, the GBSS, at 5 p.m. This brings us to the end of the National Report for today, Monday, 24th October 2022. Recapping the top story, Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell believes there is renewed sense of hope as Grenada and other member countries observe United Nations Day. On behalf of the entire news team, I am Abigail McIntyre. Thank you for joining us.